I guess we're live. Hi, everybody. I'm Pedro, host of. Wait. I have a banner for this. Host of Selena Infinity. Um, we have one person watching. Yay! Somebody's watching. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you for watching. We get to see your comments, so please comment as you're having along. And of course, we are doing a deep dive with my co-host for today. We have. Oops, wrong
Hi.
one. Mallory from
That's me.
bittyblogblog.com. We
Hi.
gotten some really great comments, Mallory. Have you been reading the comments from people?
I don't because I'm too scared. I'm scared of any criticism.
No,
I don't
there's
want to
not any
know.
bad
The internet's
criticism.
mean. Okay. I was just like, I do
No, there
not know.
hasn't
The
been.
internet is really cruel. Okay, that's fine. Maybe I'll go back and read it. One person, someone really nice, said something nice on Instagram to me, and I don't even know who it was. They're like, "Oh yeah, I watched that. You guys did a really good job." And I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
thank
good.
you."
Well, I posted a big long rant. That was my follow-up video was like this rant after I had seen the series. And that's going to be my running commentary for all of these episodes. I start seeing less and less of the production and have gotten more and more into the story.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think that's a good thing. I mean, because I realize I have very little production stuff on notes. That it's more like I didn't like that AB did this, and
Yeah.
or why did Selena say this? Where it's like, wait a minute. Like this is I'm just watching a Netflix series. Like I don't even know if this is
Yeah.
real. Like,
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
but
Yeah.
anyway,
Definitely has a different feel.
well, what I
Oh,
wanted to tell you was that on that video, somebody was like, when are you going to bring Mallory back?
aw, shucks.
So yes, so you are very well liked, and
Oh,
you
great.
should like that. So
Sorry for my lack of confidence.
thank you for anybody who's
I'll
watching.
be
If
all
you
right.
comment, if you have any questions as we're going through, please let us know. We can see your comments. I can bring them on screen. We have 4 people watching. That's the coolest thing ever.
Whoa.
Um,
Yay.
that
I'll
is
take,
that
yeah,
is
I'm happy
4
with
more.
one.
Yeah. Oh, here. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Julian.
Julie?
Yay. Oh, look at this. Like, we have comments. We have people who are
I
watching.
know.
This is the coolest thing
Wow.
ever. Yeah.
This is
This
so,
is awesome.
ah.
All right. So we are doing the deep dive into Selena the Series Part 2, episodes 1, 2, 3. We were having a discussion whether these were episodes 10, 11, 12, or they were Part 2, 1, 2, 3. I've seen it on IMDb as Part 2, episode 1, 2, and 3. And then I
Okay.
tried to
Yep.
look at it on Netflix to see how they had it. And they also had it split it up into parts. But we can call them whatever the heck we want to.
Yeah. You know
But
what we're talking about. Yeah.
you know what we're talking about. So let's start, Mallory, with Part 2, episode 1, Como la Flor. Tell us
Oh,
what
all
this
right.
episode is about.
All right. So, Como la Flor, it starts off with them recording Como la Flor in the studio. And not long after that, they announce that they're getting a longer tour because they're gaining popularity. And Selena gets pretty upset because that means she's away from Chris longer. And to my knowledge, at this point, nobody knows that she still has feelings for him and all of that, or loves him, I guess you'd say. And during this time, Selena confesses to Suzette that she's still in love with Chris, and Suzette tries to talk some sense into her, and try to discourage her from sneaking around with Chris or being with him. And after that, we get Selena begins her boutique journey. Well, the very, very beginnings of her boutique journey of getting some studio space so she can design and such. And also, Chris is invited back into the band because they can't find a guitarist who's quite as good as Chris. And so once he gets invited back in, Chris and Selena decide, it's going to be weird for us to be sneaking around still. And after a discussion with Suzette during that time and another confrontation, they decide to elope, as we all know. And so they elope at the courthouse, and then word gets out via a fan overhearing it. And of course, we all know the story, so it's not like I'm saying anything new. Word gets out. And Selena's family finds out, and they're all scared that the band's going to end and all of that. So, and it kind of just ends with Selena and Chris not going home because they obviously don't want to face her family, and most importantly, not face her father. So it ends there. And yeah, that's basically what that episode's about. Just, it's mostly focusing around the elopement. The end.
And like I was saying earlier, I have less and less sort of likes and dislikes about the production, which I think what was the big shift in the series is that, exactly as we both had predicted, was that it took a more mature tone at the end of episode 9, and it definitely continued into the rest of the series. There were a few weird, like cutesy, little things here and there, but certainly there were no more like handing over of the let up rose, or like the here are my let's peach cans at the end of the series, stuff like that. Like that was
the Full
a lot
House
more
music.
Yeah, exactly. That weird music. I love the music that they use for the soundtrack. Like, the non-Selena music. Obviously, I love the Selena music, but they use really great music to really tells us where we are in the span of things. So I think they did that really well.
I agree.
When they're doing the recording of Selena recording Como la Flor, I love that they figured out how to be able to have her voice so clean a cappella, like she was really in their recording. I love how they did that.
That's so pretty.
And then now we get to see how beautiful Christian really is, because I mean she was, with the crazy wigs and the trying to make her look like a teenager. They were really mean online about her.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and she's really beautiful. Like, and you get to see her with her hair pulled back and everything. She's so beautiful. She's so pretty. So I really enjoyed that. We're starting to see all of that stuff. And we talked about this, which I thought was great. They showed about the buses, right? That you.
Oh yeah. I thought of you about Big Bertha and and how they upgraded the buses from like Big Bertha to the. I don't know. There's not that nobody bus. I guess
nobody
say. The two fancy buses. So yeah.
So, side note about nobody. So Pete ended up buying that bus, and it's still in Laredo where Pete lives. And it's I got to visit it. It's very sad. It's just sort of sitting there on the side of the road. But it's better than Big Bertha. Big Bertha actually was used for the movie. They reconditioned it. Mr. Quintanilla bought it back for the movie, reconditioned it for the movie like it was when they were traveling in it. And then they had some sort of legal dispute, as often with the Quintanillas. There was some sort of legal dispute. We'll just leave it at that. But Big Bertha had to be chopped up for parts. And so there is no more Big Bertha, whereas nobody still exists, but it's in heavy disrepair. It's not really being used. Oh. And I'm pretty sure Pete just doesn't want to get rid of it either.
Yeah, sentimental, I would suppose. Like, who wants to get rid of that?
So if you're in Laredo, you can find the bus somewhere out there if you look hard enough.
Google it.
Tell you where.
I'm sure it's on Google somewhere. The address.
Yeah, I don't want to tell them where, because Pete lives close to there, and I don't want poor Pete to be bothered by people showing up at his door.
I've always heard different stories, so it's kind of good to know. I actually didn't know. Like I've heard like, oh, it's somewhere at somebody's house or something like that, but I didn't know Pete was involved. So I learned something new today.
There we go.
Interesting. But go on.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I really liked this episode because, as you said, it kind of gets it completely feels different than last season, and he definitely feels a lot more grown up. And I like that we got to see like a more, I guess, emotional Selena. Like you get to see her frustrated, you get to see her upset, and I'm like not in like a weird creepy way, but like just to humanize her, and that the frustration she had to go from hiding her relationship with Chris and kept saying like I don't want to put my life on hold and things like that. And I just felt like this was like probably the first episode I got like really emotionally involved, because I felt so bad for her, because it's like that whole part with like Suzette talking to her, she's like, oh, he's just a boy, family first, and you're just sitting there, you're like, okay, like you can have a boyfriend and AB can get married, but like Selena wasn't allowed to do any of that. And it's like, I understand he was like, because he was a part of the band, but it made me think that it didn't matter who she dated, like they probably would have had the same response, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So
Yeah.
I don't know that it really, I got really like emotionally involved and charged in that part.
I felt exactly the same way in what I really, in the movie, at least they raised the stakes as far as like, he had that whole, bedroom, hotel room breaking scene. And so
Oh
you're
yeah,
like, he's
that's true.
bad, he's drinking, blah, blah, blah. In like the
Yeah.
series, he's like the sweetest, you know, like just really
Yeah, that's
sweet,
true.
really, he was like a family friend. People seem to like know him. Like, it's like, why
Yeah.
was everybody so against their marriage? But there is, so on that blog, on that not blog but podcast, the Anything for Selena's.
Yeah.
Have you listened to it?
I still haven't listened to it. I heard the one
Yeah,
that Chris recorded at Joshua
yeah,
Tree.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't
He
listened to
does
it
he
yet.
does one. So there's a whole series. If you haven't listened to it, you definitely, if you like podcasts, you'll like it. It's less about Selena and more really about like that woman who did the podcast. Like, it's more about her and her family, and sort of about Selena too. I mean, there's a lot of people that are writing about themselves really and use Selena as the backdrop, and that's kind of what it
Yeah.
feels like.
Okay.
So it depends. If you like podcasts, you'll like it. If you're just looking for like Selena content, that's not it.
Yeah.
But she does interview a lot of people in her life. And she does interview Mr. Quintanilla. And one of the first things that he does talk about is he said he was afraid that he was going to take her out of the band.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I could believe that was their big thing, was that they were like, listen, like, we don't want to disturb this band. And Selena was the baby, right? And they might have thought she was so sheltered, she was so unknowing about the world. And so how would she know if she's in love? This is the first guy that comes along that's like close to her age, and of course she fell in love and wants to marry him.
Yeah.
And so I understand that part, but there was nothing wrong with Chris, at least in
I
this
know.
series. Like, there
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
absolutely nothing wrong with Chris. Like, he was great, he was sweet, he was handsome, he was charming. But yes, Julian, thank you so much. He's letting us know that there's 10 people
Aw.
watching. Yay.
Yay. Hi.
Julian or Julian, I'm not sure, it could be either.
Sorry.
Either way, I like it.
But like, what was I? Oh, I lost my train of thought. Around the world. Oh, sorry. Go on. I lost my train of thought. I got
Here's also what I wanted to point out. The details are so good. They're so good. I mean, I love when they're doing the photo shoot for the Entre Mi Mundo, and she's wearing that white see-through, and they have the right. Their hair looks right. Her chain looks right.
Yeah.
And then she goes and changes into the jacket. And I didn't realize that jacket had a hood until she walked away. I was like, that jacket had a hood?
Oh, really?
I never knew that. Yeah.
I think I only knew that from the
it was a hoodie.
museum. Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
saw
that's
like.
right.
Yeah. That's the only reason. But yeah, you can't see it in the on the actual album cover. Yeah.
So just those details, like, to me, it tells me that these are fans who are making. I mean, I don't know. They must have poured over tons and tons and tons of pictures and to find those particular things. If you look at the Selena movie, and I'll mention this just, again, we don't like to compare, but we do. But if you look at the Selena movie, the white outfit, the pearl, the bustier, the Como la Flor that she does, that Jennifer Lopez does, is less similar to Selena's actual bustier than the series.
Yeah.
It's similar-ish, and even the jewelry and stuff like that, it's similar-ish, of course, but it's similar than the series was. So just the love, care, and attention that they put into the costumes, into this, in that scene where Selena's like hyperventilating because they're going into that thing. The posters on the wall, they all have like the Alamo Dome or something. Like, they have really like a good job on just figuring everything out, and I love that. I love watching that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's stuff like, as we go on to further episodes, they do that as well, and I'll point some of that stuff out. But yeah, stuff like, I don't know, like an average Netflix user's not going to care about, but you're just like, there's like, a little picture from Selena from 1987. I'm saying, like, you recognize that. So I love that they did their homework and like, they scoured YouTube for those things, or I guess, the internet. But yeah, they did a really good job on that. But yeah, good catch on all that. Because this episode I didn't catch as much, but yeah.
Well, I think because we were more invested in the story. Um,
Exactly.
Now, I wanted to ask you. You know that beginning scene where she does Como la Flor in the concert, and she's hyperventilating. That I never seen that costume, right? That kind of crisscross,
Yeah, that
pretty, like.
wasn't. It looked like a variation of the one when she was singing. Oh, sorry for mispronouncing once again, everybody. My Spanish is awful. Um, the I'm just gonna call it EDT. um, like, is it the beat but in Spanish?
Enamorada
Enamorati.
de
Yeah,
ti.
yeah. Sorry, I know what the song is. I just can't say it. I'm like, is it
That's
the beat?
that's great that you're like, let me sing it instead of actually saying the words, because it's easier for me to sing it than it is to say the words.
Some of her
That's
songs I
nice.
just can't pronounce properly. But that when she dances to
Yeah,
that, yeah, I
yeah,
think it was
okay.
supposed to be my theory is it's supposed to be like a variation. It looks like a variation of that, but yeah, she's never wore that to my knowledge. I've never seen
Yeah,
it
I've never seen that.
unless they really deep dived and found it.
Yeah, and found something that you and I both don't know. I doubt it. I doubt. So if somebody does remember that outfit, it's that one where she's performing Como la Flor, and then she hyperventilates. She runs into the dressing
Yeah,
room, and
first
she
scene.
has like
Yeah.
a clip in her hair, which I don't think I've ever
Hmm.
seen her wear a clip in. It was a really pretty clip, and
Yeah,
actually, it
yeah.
was one of the most because I've always really hated the dress that they give her at the end of the movie. When she's
Oh yeah, yeah,
performing on
the
the
tie
stage.
one. Yeah.
I really dislike that. I
Uh,
really dislike that dress.
I'm
I don't know
neutral.
why.
I don't dislike it. I don't like it, but it's just like, I mean,
I don't think she would have worn that for her
yeah.
for like her English concert performance. Like it looked too trendy. Like Selena had a little bit more. Like it just looked too trendy at the time.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Anyway,
Yeah.
um,
Side
but
note.
sorry, Ricky. Ricky's saying that he loves the dress. Uh, yeah,
Okay. You like what
and
you
yet
like.
and Julian is saying that it's premio lo nuestro. Yeah, that's right. That's
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 it.
what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah. That's a good. And look at what Ricky is saying.
Oh gosh. I'm really sorry. I don't even mean it. I'm sorry. If I laugh too much, I giggle. I
No,
side note,
everybody
I
says the
listen to
same
myself
thing.
again and I'm like, oh my gosh, just I've done like this since I was a little kid. And I just like anyway, I don't so yeah. I want to apologize. It's just who I am.
No, my husband said the exact same thing. He's like, "Oh my God, she's so cute. She has the best laugh."
Well,
So I'm glad
thanks.
other people are noticing. Like, all right, what else? Oh, I wanted to know. Didn't she wear a jacket for her wedding? Like, didn't they say that she was wearing some sort of jacket, like a
Oh
checkered jacket?
God. I don't remember. This is probably something from like Chris's book, which I haven't read in like 8 years.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
it's been
remember to
that
be
long, huh?
honest. I only read it I read it twice, but it was like within a year of each other. And it was before my kid was born. So it was like 2012, 2013. I mean,
Yeah,
sorry, it came
yeah.
out in 2012. It would have been 2013. So yeah,
I
honestly, I don't remember.
I have a confession. I never finished Chris's book. I did a whole interview with him. Anybody who hasn't seen it, go check out the interview that I did with Chris. It's
Oh,
on this channel.
you didn't finish
I
it.
didn't I didn't finish it because I never do. I never finish the things because it sort of just feels like,
It's sad.
oh, not just the sad. I just don't want it to be
Nah.
over. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
want a little bit like of something to like, and then everybody else starts talking about it, and then so it's kind of like you read it, so might as well just read it. But it's sort of like just having a little bit of extra because we're not getting any new Selena stuff anytime. And back then we really didn't get new Selena
No,
stuff.
that was
Like,
before. Yeah,
yeah,
the
so
reemergence or whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Selena Renaissance. That's what we'll call it. We'll call this the Selena Renaissance. Um,
But with the
Thank you,
wedding,
Michaela.
yeah.
Sorry.
With the wedding, this is something else. Because once again, I haven't read the book in a long time. Did they really waive that 72-hour rule? Was that a thing, or was that just added for drama? Or you don't
I
remember
don't
either?
know.
If
I don't
anybody
remember
knows, let me
either.
know. Because I remember
I
I was
feel
watching with my husband, and he was all like, "Did they really do that?" And I was like, "Honestly, I don't know. I never heard it like out in the open, but I don't remember in the book. So I don't think
yeah.
it just. I
It
wouldn't.
wasn't in the book. I did reread
It
that
wasn't
section over
okay.
again, and it wasn't in the book.
Okay, maybe it was just added for story or drama's sake once again.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
What did happen though is that because if anybody hasn't seen it, they released an interview with Chris. There was one of the stations, I think in San Antonio or Corpus, or one of those did like these long format interviews, and one of them was with Chris. and he talked about how the first person they talked to in the family was AB.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was
He did
accurate.
that.
That was accurate. And one thing that I wish they had shown, which I understand why they don't, but neither in the movie nor in the series, was Chris's family, because where they went to after they got married was to
Yeah.
Chris's family stuff, and it would have been great to see. And Chris mentions, not in the book, but in this interview, that it's like his family also wasn't like happy that they got married and how they
Yeah.
got married like that, and so it would have been kind of neat to see that
I
interaction. That
thought
would have been something totally different.
I thought they were gonna do it when she said like, "Oh, honeymoon in San Antonio," and I seriously thought the next scene was gonna be him seeing his
Yeah,
family, and I was like, "Oh, cool," and then I was like, "Oh, never mind."
yeah.
That's all right. Can't get it all in. Still would have been cool to
Uh,
see.
let's see what else is it. Oh, one thing that I was going to ask you: does missing my baby fit that timeline? You're pretty good about that, because there was that scene where they say, where she's like, "You've had missing my baby on repeat," like
Well,
with
I thought,
Suzette's
well,
southern accent.
that goes in and out. The
Yeah.
the I think like the song was written by then, but if they're taking a photo shoot for that album and that song was on that album, then I mean, kind of
Like
lines
she
up,
wouldn't
yeah.
have.
She was
Yeah, yeah.
practicing it, but
Okay,
like other
okay.
than that, but she didn't really. It wasn't really a known song yet, so I'm thinking not. So I
Yeah,
mean, other than like she just probably had it on repeat because she liked it, but yeah, eh,
yeah,
that's my. So I
yeah.
think
That's
so.
a. I think so too. I mean, at least somewhat, because I mean that's the one thing is like in the movie, some of the songs are really out of like order, especially
Most
the
of it
way that
is.
they, yeah, and sort of like she didn't have that hair when during that
Yeah,
age at that
yeah,
time singing that song, singing it like
yeah, yeah,
that. Um,
yeah.
but don't care that they used here's what I have a note.
Oh,
Don't
sorry, I can't
care.
see.
No, I'm reading it off of my note.
Oh,
Don't care that they used audio for the initial concert, but maybe they could have used it from the live CD. Oh yeah, I know that they used Como La Flor over and over and over from the concert from the Astrodome.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
they could have
They
thrown
have,
one from
they
like
have
the
other
live
ones.
album. Yeah, they have other
Yeah,
ones. I think they
she
have
sang
used.
that song a million times. Like if they took her singing from the Johnny Canales that episode when she goes to Mexico, they do that Jody Watley song. They took that from an original recording that she did. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, why couldn't they do that with Como La Flor? Because she recorded, she did that 1,000 times live. I'm sure they had that, but maybe it was just easy for them to like rip it off the live Astrodome album, and it was just easier. Who knows? But yeah, they did keep
Yeah,
using like that same one. But at least they used her live lyric, or sorry, her live vocals. Because a
version.
lot of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
songs, yeah, they didn't. Which
yeah.
whatever.
I agree. And then the only other thing that I had for this was um, that I wonder if Selena's dad was actually okay with Chris coming back into the band. It's like, as long as she stays away from Selena.
It's
Like,
like, what do you
really?
expect?
Like, really? That they're gonna be on the
Yeah,
bus and but one thing that I did notice is it looked like they got two buses. Because I always wondered,
they
like, how
did.
do they
Yeah,
all fit on that bus, right? So it did
yeah,
look like they had two buses,
yeah,
right?
yeah. There's one right behind it. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
maybe one was for like the crew, and then one was for the family. That's
I
almost
thought so too, but I was thinking maybe they were on one bus and then two. Because how many beds could they possibly have in one bus?
one, two. I'm gonna guess like 8 or 16. Probably depends on how.
In
I'm
one
thinking there. No,
bus?
sorry, one, two. Sorry, no, sorry. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe like 12. I'm thinking like there's probably like 4 in one part, like across, and then maybe 8.
Really?
I've been inside of a bus like that before, and it could fit quite a few people. But
Wow.
I'm thinking
Yeah,
like
people,
there's
yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But beds there were like
Because there was like a living room and
8 or
like a
more.
huge bathroom and sitting area. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah. I'm
yeah,
gonna think
all
a
right.
minimum of 8. I could just Google this if I had asked. But
Somebody's saying
whatever.
probably
7.
7. Emma's
Close.
saying, Oscar's saying maybe 8.
See?
Um,
8.
I think 8. I think 8 too. But it's like if it was like a
That's still more of
mom,
them.
dad, like anyway, anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but
Oh,
so
yeah.
maybe the expectation was like he'll be in another bus or they won't see each other. But I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
maybe he was okay. Maybe I don't know. I
And
don't
how
know how much I believe that.
and I don't understand, like, because the TV show sorry, on the show, they're all like, oh, she can't be with Chris because he's in the band. Well, if they weren't like if Chris wasn't in the band anymore, why couldn't they be together? Or is it just because they didn't like Chris? I don't know. Because it seems like, well, he's out of the band now. Can't they date? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's really simple thinking. But I was
Okay.
like, oh.
So now I'll talk about this, and then we can move on. Well, I want to get your take, but this is what I want to also mention is that I really started, like, they really did not trust Selena. Like I'm the baby of my family, and I've had
Me
these
too.
conversations of, okay, so you probably had this
Yeah.
conversation with your parents too, where it's like, you have to trust me, like you have to believe, like, I'm not only making good choices because you're watching me, like I'm making good choices because I'm a good person, or because you taught me well, or whatever it is. And it's like, I get it. I know that you think you're going to protect me from this thing, but that thing is not going to happen. But it was like when Suzette, she's like, I just don't understand why she didn't tell me. And it's like, she tried to tell you.
Yep. That whole
So,
conversation made me mad. Like, oh, but yeah, they really treated her like, I mean, she was like, what, 20 years old at that point? Like,
she's 20 years old. Young. I mean, I wouldn't let my 20-year-old niece, just run away and get married either. But it's like, they really left her no other choice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't blame her. I'd probably do the same thing. Like, what else was she supposed to do at that point? Because as I mentioned earlier, I think no matter who she was with, it would have been trouble. So,
yeah. Exactly.
This is my opinion.
Unless maybe she ended up with Pete. Maybe they wanted her to end up with Pete. Nobody seems
we're just making this up, people. Don't let this spread.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the official Walrus pitch is saying everyone else who had strict parents watching this show and nodding along. Exactly. I mean, anybody who had those, strict parents, and especially if you're the baby, that the entire family distrusts your opinion. But it's sort of like, I hope this is a cautionary tale for families out there who think that you're protecting people and you're actually forcing them into situations.
The rebel.
Or sometimes not even real, but just live their life. Because what I saw, which I really liked, I really loved that Selena was really rational, really sort of kind of thought things through. She really seemed like it was like everybody's emotions were out of control except hers. Like,
that's a good,
like Suzette was all kind of crazy, and like, you have to choose and like, I love the line when she was like, I chose work over love. And like, she was really making sense out of it, really mature. And she's like, no, you're choosing family. It's like, no, I'm choosing, like, this is work, Suzette. We're still going to be family. She doesn't say it out loud. I wish she would have turned around and be like, Suzette, what are you, crazy? Are you going to stop being my family if we're not in this band? Like, what you talking about? So, yeah.
And just when they're at the end, like sitting around the table, like they act like something seriously wrong happened. And like, I understand it was a big deal to them that she got married, but the way they were all moping around the table, like, it looks like, she got in like a bad car accident or something. They were really depressed about it. And I don't know, I didn't think it was, I don't know. I really liked that scene to see how upset they were. And that sounds really weird and like creepy once again to say that, but it was just like, I finally, felt the effects of the whole family when I saw that. And I don't know. And just them all sad and thinking like the band was going to end. And like her dad going like, well, maybe we'll cancel the next one. Maybe we'll cancel the next one. And it was just like, geez. Yeah, they took it pretty hard.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for watching, Abraham. Thanks for watching. And then I want to add Claudia's comment that she says that the replica that they have in Corpus only has 4 beds.
Oh, whoa.
But we'll see. It's a replica, so I guess it might not be the exact same thing. But I don't think they have like 12. I don't think there's enough beds for all of the band in one bus. No. So I'm pretty sure that they must have had to split up.
Yeah, but what did they do before then? Because Joe and Pete
they were all sleeping on the floor.
I guess so.
All right, that's all I have. Do you have anything else for this episode?
No, not really.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the next episode. We are moving to Enter My World. Take us away into your world, Mallory.
Okay, so finally, Selena faces her dad, and once again, as we all know, her dad finally accepts that they got married. And as like a also he gives them the house next door and for them to move into because he doesn't want them to stress and things like that. And he basically said it was because he wanted to be able to provide for them to make up for their childhood because there were some times where they didn't have anywhere to sleep. And after that, they talk about the tour in Mexico and they're invited to the Veronica Castro show. And she's starting to debate, or maybe more of her father. They're torn on top, maybe if they should bring up Chris or not, that she married Chris. And so it's kind of like this back and forth of like, how open should I be with the fans? How much should I hold back? Keep, be mysterious, I guess you would say. And then meanwhile, so they go on Veronica Castro. It's live. They get interviewed and so forth. And we find out that Suzette is holding a grudge or is a little bit mad at Selena still that she wasn't a bridesmaid, which we'll go into that later. And finally at the end, they're invited to they have that giant concert with 100,000 people. And Selena finally lets the fans know that, hey, I got married. This is my husband. And at first they didn't take it well, but she knew how to control the crowd and they're fine with it in the end. And also, as a bonus, they go to Target to sign autographs. Which added nothing to the story. So
I have it on my thing too.
Yeah, I was going to point at the Target messaging. So there you go. So they went to Target and so that's basically the end. And then we'll talk about it later, but basically her and her dad at the end have like a little bit of a disagreement of how open they should be with fans with their lives. So yeah, so it's not like a big plot point in this one, but yeah. I think it kind of shows that what I liked about it is finally Selena's starting to really stick up for herself and putting her foot down. And because previous seasons she was very like, yeah, that's fine. Kind of like, like a teenager would or a young person would. But this episode, you're really starting to see her like saying like, no, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to share this with my fans and standing up to her dad a little bit more. Not that eloping wasn't, but, she's starting to speak up for herself. I think this is like the real start of it with it.
It's like we start to see Selena being interested in her own career, whereas she was perfectly fine sort of being she wanted to sing some English song, and that's as much as she took into her career before. And this was now we're starting to see like, no, like dad, like I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for a while. The Target thing. The only thing that the Target thing did do, which I kind of liked, was that in Sylvia, who has mentioned this to me, who's a great fan. She saw her in concert, I think, like 5 times, and would go and meet her. And said like, oh, Selena always had like a comment for you. Like she always had like, oh, I like your shirt. So, oh, where did you get your earrings? Like, oh, I love your hair. Like, oh, you're so tall. That every person that would come up that she would have a comment. And I thought that that's what they were showing. But of course they had to do it in the middle of Target. And of course she had to say, I love your shirt. And the girl had to say, I got it here at Target. It's like, oh my God. We get it, Target. We get it.
And this isn't the last part of Target. We'll go to Target later as well in the series. Sorry. I don't know why I just find it so comical. I'm sorry, but yeah.
It is, because it's just so blatant. It's so obvious. So Julian is talking about how the Veronica Castro interview was so spot on. Definitely was. Yeah.
I just rewatched it today. Yeah. Actually,
I rewatched. I had to rewatch it too to be able to say like how spot on was it? Because I thought they'd look really good, but I wanted to see exactly how it was. What did you think of it?
I liked, I didn't realize how close it was because I used to have this video, that Veronica Castro video on VHS, like, gosh, in like the late 90s, like back when Selena fans had to like exchange tapes by mail to watch her. And I had this on VHS and I used to watch it, and I haven't watched it like in full, probably since like the late 90s, because I'd skip it a lot because once again, I don't speak Spanish. So I didn't know what they were talking about. So I couldn't remember a lot of it other than her giving her the present and them dancing at the end and her performances I always watched. But like seeing like spot on, like her asking Ricky the same questions, and when she was all like, asking Chris, and she's like, "Oh, he doesn't speak Spanish," and stuff like that. I didn't know that actually happened because it's been so many years, and just seeing like the presents and things like that. So it was a really great reenactment. The actress who played her, I didn't catch her name, but she looked just like her, and she even talked like her. She did such a good job. But that was such a great reenactment, and I wish they showed the performance from that day, because that's like one of my favorite like performances she did on TV with Selena, and but we didn't get to see that, but can't get everything. So yeah, I think they did a really good job, and yeah, that's what I think about it.
Well, we got to see I'm a McKiddemy.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of the one when she was wearing like the cap and like the hair. Yeah. So sorry, my bad.
I actually didn't realize that was the same day, because
was it the same day?
Yeah. I guess so. Because I actually hadn't realized that, because she's wearing two different outfits. She's wearing the fringy, and then she's wearing the cap with the thing. So she changes apparently. But I was surprised because I thought they would show that other one, because it is sort of such a beautiful, iconic, and she goes up to the fans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was the same time. Yeah, I thought they would definitely do, but it could be that was like deep in COVID, and so the audiences were fake. Everything. Everything
actually
was
good point. That's probably what it was, because I love that I love that performance.
But I certainly didn't read, like, the series made me feel it didn't make me feel that when I watched the interview, I didn't think that Selena was uncomfortable or anything. Like, she looked, as she always does, very, very good and stuff. So it was really interesting to see it through the eyes of, like, she's just recently married. She did have to go and do like Selena was very sexualized, right, in her lifetime, but the great thing about this and the movie in most Selena projects is that she's never, I mean, that's not the way she saw herself. I mean, she sort of saw herself, kind of like a little girl playing dress up. She was sexy, and she was definitely knew that she was sensual, but it was, she certainly wasn't trying to portray an image of sexual and sex. I think are two different things. She was sexy, and she was, all of those things, but that to her it was like, well, I'm not doing this to get all of this attention from men to ogle at me. Like, I feel good in this. This is what I like to wear, and that's why I wear it. And so that happened to her a lot, having to be ogled, having to do like little turns, having to be like and stuff like that, and how uncomfortable that must have been for Chris to have to deal with that. And I forgot to mention this on the last episode, when she was jealous when that girl like flirted with Chris.
Oh, yeah. We walked up to
I love that. I love that because I completely see that more as Selena, where she sort of goes and like is like gives him a look like, what the hell, man? Yeah. But I love the Veronica Castro recreation. So I didn't know the part of Ricky, like they did a side by side of the guy who plays Ricky.
Yeah, I saw that video.
Perfect.
Oh yeah,
like, just perfect.
Like the timing's even right. Like it's like the rhythm of it. I'm like, dang, that was good.
Yeah. And then
God bless those people who do those.
I know. Yeah, I love those
videos.
Otherwise, I just open up the videos right next to each other and try to hit play at the same time. So thank you for those of you who do the side-by-side videos.
Thanks for doing the work for us. Yeah.
But but I thought was cool too is that Chris mentions this on the book, and he's mentioned this in a lot of interviews, that he also was okay with not telling everybody that they were married, because he kind of didn't want the attention either. He didn't want all that focus on him either. So it was he was fine with that. And so I'm sure if dad was fine with it and Chris was fine with it, that Selena must have been like, okay, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do, until she was not. And he does mention that it was at a concert, exactly how she introduced band member by band member, that he gets to him at the end, and he was like, oh, she's going to do it. And Miss Mojo, I have it out for you. They've done now 2 or 3 videos of like, what did the movie and the series got right or wrong? And there's several things that they mention that are wrong on the right column, or that are right in the wrong column. And it's like, why are you doing? If you don't actually know, then why? So one of the things they said that the series got right is that Selena's final concert really was was at the Astrodome, and it's like, first of all, in the series they don't actually show that as being her final concert, and it was not her
No.
final concert. Like,
Yeah.
why Miss Mojo? Like, and they have millions and millions of viewers. But anyway, one of the things that they said that they got wrong was that Selena didn't actually make that joke at a concert. She did it at the TMAs, and of course she does say at the TMAs, like, if I was married to one of
Yeah.
y'all, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I kind of have a feeling she probably used that joke many times.
Oh,
That she probably
yeah.
had done it like so. So Miss
Sorry,
Mojo,
reversed in her head.
yeah, Miss Mojo, I'm not impressed by you. I am not impressed by you. Um, yeah, but I love seeing Selena being able to to start seeing how she was navigating the fans, in the
Mhm.
part about having to be honest with them and how important it was for her to be honest with them, because that certainly became a theme for her, and it became sort of like a rallying call. And then it kind of starts seeing as to how important it was about the fan club, when things were going bad
Mhm.
with the fan club and things like that. So it starts setting the groundwork for some of that, I think.
I didn't realize how important it was to like keep those things kind of under wraps. So it's like, I don't know, like nowadays I wouldn't like seems like people wouldn't maybe Tejano's different, I don't know. But like nowadays it seems like nobody would care so much if somebody got married, like an artist. Like it usually gets released right away. And like I don't know, I just found it interesting that they had to keep it under wraps. Like maybe it
Yeah.
was just a Selena thing. I don't know. But or a cultural thing. I'm not really sure, but I don't know. I just found that interesting. I didn't realize how much they had to keep it under wrap, other than what Chris mentioned in the book. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And,
And then
can we talk
go on.
about Suzette? Suzette still
I'm about
being
to say
upset
that.
about is that okay, good. Like, I'm just so I've had from this point on to like the whole end, like, Suzette was not my favorite character. I really liked her at the beginning. I
Yeah,
really liked
right.
snotty young Suzette. I really
Yeah.
liked the like,
Like
but Dad, I don't want to pay drums. I love that
yeah.
Suzette. I really
This one's
dislike this part two Suzette, like,
she's
which
not
is
very
really
nice.
amazing considering that she was like the main contact for the series. So, you know,
Guess she didn't mind it. Yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah. So
just her going like, try not knowing where your sister is for a whole day. And I'm like, oh
that
my gosh.
whole line,
Like you're
the whole
like
like,
25 years old and you're like how old was Suzette then? 25 years old, 24, 25 years
uh,
old. And just
if
it's like
Selena was 20, she was like 25, 26. Yeah, yeah,
oh, 25. Okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So it's like, I don't know. I just thought that hilarious. Like, you guys are in your 20s. Like, like, you guys know where each other are at all the time. And it was like, it's not like she was missing for like a week. You know what I'm saying? Completely understand that. It was like probably like 12 hours at that point. Anyway,
yeah.
I just thought that was hilarious. And just her like guilt tripping her about not being a bridesmaid. It's like, well, why do you think she didn't ask you to be a bridesmaid? Like, were you not there for that previous discussion of
Yeah.
trying to talk her out of it? Like, why would she invite you? I don't know. That whole scene is, I don't know. I like it. It's just like it makes you angry at Suzette. Kind of adds to the layers of like, okay, you're becoming an unlikable character. This is for the character, by the way, not Suzette as a person, just so everybody
Not
knows.
Suzette as a person or the actress. I actually,
Mhm.
enjoy the actress a lot because she made us. I mean, again, I stopped
They were
looking at the
getting mad at her.
production more. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And can we talk about how annoying AB is too? Like, it's sort of
Yeah, he's
like,
getting turned into a
yeah,
big grump.
yeah, kind of a big grump, and it actually is kind of neat because I kind of heard that's kind of what happened. Like, with the stress, whereas Selena just kind of flourished and was able to. I mean, obviously she had a lot of trouble,
Yeah.
but she would be able to turn it on and off. Suzette did talk about that AB was fairly grumpy when he was like doing music and stuff, that he was kind of grumpy. And it's like, yeah, that's definitely the what you get.
They're like pumping out an album like what, once every 18 months or something. Like they were pumping out a lot of albums during that time. So it was probably like just nonstop for him, nonstop pressure. So I mean, I don't blame him. Like it doesn't seem like he
Yeah.
got to relax too much. And they have that, I think it's this episode or the next one with his like wife, Vanjie finally shows up again, and she's all stressed out with the kids and stuff. And yeah,
For like 2 seconds, she shows up for like 2 seconds.
yeah, basically just wiping the tables or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what his life was like, and yeah, I mean, I can imagine why.
The so there was one thing that I was really annoyed at. Not really annoyed at, but one little thing that I was like, oh, writers, you should have caught this because you were very careful about other things. but there's a point. I don't know if it was in the Veronica Castro interview or somewhere, but Selena mentions her fans. She says, "Mis
Hmm.
fans." Selena never said my fans. She never said mine. She always said the fans. Um,
Oh,
it, I haven't been able to find one interview where she said calls them my fans. She always says the
the
fans,
fans.
because I think that's really important. That she always sort of didn't see herself as the center of this
Yeah.
fandom. She didn't see herself as the center of. She always say the fans always support us. The fans, we really have to thank the fans. If it wasn't up to the fans, but she never says our fans. She doesn't even say our fans. She always says the fans. I think she always would make herself as to say like, well, they're fans of the music. They're fans of the
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not my fans. They're not our fans. They're the fans.
Yeah.
Like it was a mutual thing. Like it was a job that she played, and they played a job, and it was a working relationship. And I always loved about the way that she talked about her fans, about the
Hmm.
fans, about us, I guess.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. It's a
yeah,
good catch.
that I thought it was such a nice, respectful thing,
Hmm.
and that it just didn't happen. And I'll mention this. And somebody mentioned this. Somebody said Oscar was saying that it was disappointing that they reused La Carcacha, um, that because there wasn't as much dancing as we got to see J Lo do in the movie. They did reuse La Carcacha, and actually, I really enjoyed
Oh, yeah. They did do it
Christian's
twice.
dancing. Yeah, they did do it twice. I enjoyed seeing. Well, let's not talk about how many times they did Como la Flor, but they Christian really got a lot better in the dancing. I think that was
Oh, yeah.
intentional. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it was meant to be, except for La Carcacha. She was just a little squiggly. She was a little kind of like it
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
too
When she was like
squiggly.
doing this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I love Christian. I love Christian. I thought she was great. But yeah, the
Yeah.
squiggly Carcacha.
Yeah.
I giggled a little.
She tried. It's fine.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about
Oh,
this.
oh,
Her
yeah.
living next door. So this came up. Somebody mentioned this about Selena having to live this next door. It says the house next door scene was the first point where wanted to see Selena go like, "Girl, I'm the one paying for everything that's not in this house. That's yours." So that's true. When you think about it, it's like, hmm, hmm. What would Abraham have been doing if Selena had gotten sick or left the band or anything like that, right? So the whole three houses, like he didn't own them. The family owned them. Like I'm fine if the
Yeah.
family owned. It was like weren't they all working? So I did find it a little peculiar again. So again, this was sort of like this is really interesting that the family's choosing to portray themselves this way because people picked up on it, right? Like wait a minute, like he's making it out to seem like he's giving them something, but didn't they all
Yeah.
work for this? Like didn't
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
earn those houses? And
That's her. Yeah.
also like what how much pressure was Selena to live next door? Chris in his book makes it out to be like the pressure was heavy for them to live next door.
Oh,
The
gosh.
movie
Yeah.
makes it seem like a little less, like almost sweet, almost like, but I'm doing something beautiful for you. Personally, I would love to live next door to my parents. Like, I think that's great.
Oh, I
My mom
wouldn't.
cooking, like, so, like that would be
That's
great.
just
But
me. That's why I live
yeah, what do
across the
you think?
world now.
Yeah, I want to know what you think. What did you think about that whole thing?
About them living next door. That's a good
Just
question.
that
I
whole
think in real
situation.
life, I think in real life it was, because I don't want to be like, I don't want to cause drama. I think it was a little, I don't want to say it can, I'm just going to be blunt. Like, I don't like to talk about like quintanilla family drama. I think it might have been a
Yeah,
little bit of a control thing as well, just to have like the family all right there. I don't know. Like, I don't want to say like it was a compound or anything, but I just think it was a lot to do with, I don't think it was so much to do with like, I want to give back to my family for all the times that I couldn't give them a place under the roof. I think it was a bit to do with keeping her nearby, keeping them,
yeah,
keeping an eye on them. I think was a bit to do with it. But once again,
yeah.
speculation.
Speculation. Yeah,
I'm not like anti Selena's family. I just think that's a little bit to do with it. Considering if you look at the other things that they kind of were a little bit crossing the boundaries with. So I'm trying to be careful with my words here. So I don't know. I mean, if I was them, I wouldn't have lived there. But then again,
yeah.
free house. So maybe not.
Yeah, true. And yeah, and actually that's a really great point, Mallory, because I try to make it a point to be able to say like they were a real family. And just
Yeah.
like any family, if somebody were to look inside of your family and assign motivations based on actions
Yeah.
from 25 years ago, I'm pretty sure none of us would look
Yeah.
very nice, particularly as to who's telling the story. So
Exactly.
for us to speculate what was happening, what was going on, why did they do certain things is wrong and unjust to Selena, to Chris, and to the family. And just because we got to see Chris's book, or we got to see this
Yeah.
movie, or we got to see the series, doesn't mean we know that there's the real story.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't
Chris
there. I don't know.
included, yeah, Chris included has his own version of the story, and
Yeah.
and of course, I'm pretty sure that if we were to ask Selena of this exact same event, she would have her own version that would not sound like Chris's and would not sound like her father's either. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, just like any of us, if you were to ask three people in the same household what it was like to grow up, they're going to have completely different stories. I'm completely behind you on that, on
Yeah.
not making speculative as to what actually happened or what anybody felt or who's bad or who's right or wrong or any of those things. I think
Yeah.
very good for pointing that out. We can make comments as far as what we saw in the series and sort of
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
seemed a little odd, but I do think that it's very good for us to point out to everybody out that we do not know what Selena. As far as I take Selena at her word too, she'd give lots of interviews where she talked about her love and respect for her father, the love and
Yeah.
respect that she had for her family, and even to this day, Chris says that he gets very upset when he reads stuff on social media that is against the family. On his
Yeah.
last interview that he did, he says that upsets him very much, and he's completely against and does not support people who speak badly about the family. You know,
Yeah.
that's complete. It's a family drama. Let's leave it within their family.
That's what I always say. I'm like, I don't want to get involved in this. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
whatever. That's their deal. That's their beef. Whatever. Let them
What
deal
else
it
you
out.
got? What else you got for
Oh,
this?
this episode. Oh, let's check. Actually, I think that's it. I got on mine. I think. So
Okay.
weird. Yeah, I think it is. I didn't have a lot of notes for this one. A lot of it was just around Veronica Castro, and I was like, oh, they did really good. But yeah, I didn't have
Let
a whole lot of notes.
Let's go into the call then. Episode
Okay.
3. Take it away, Mallory.
All right. So the call. So it starts off that Q Productions is built. Mr. Quintanilla decides to start that. And once again, AB's feeling a little bit pressured to make a song, which happens in a lot of different episodes. But he's also starting to feel really unappreciated because his dad made like a statement of saying like, "Oh, it doesn't matter as long as Selena's singing it," something along that. I forgot the exact quote. And also during this time, Selena gets inspired to actually open the boutique, or at least take the steps to open the boutique once she sees Q Pro being built. Chris is on board, but a little bit hesitant. And so he advises her to speak to her dad about it to get his opinion. Her dad is also a bit hesitant, and Suzette. So basically, everybody's kind of like, "Oh, are you sure you want to do this, Selena? It's a lot of work." And we also find out during this time that Suzette gets engaged, and they create the song. So once again, I'm not going to try to pronounce it. We'll just call it the phone call in English. La llamada? Is that how you say it? Llamada?
La llamada.
Ah, dang, I was close. Anyway, so they create that song. They finally record the live album. And they also get the boutique. And also with this episode, we have we find out that they're ready to have Selena go solo as a solo artist. And Yolanda shows up at the very, very end because her dad recommends Yolanda to help her with the boutiques. So a lot happened in this episode. So yeah, I think it was like my second favorite episode of this season. Because I like all the stuff it went over.
I completely agree. I think what I love about this episode is watching the beginning of the boutiques. Sort of, Selena going to see the old, Did you get a chance to go to the boutique?
No, I was even in San Antonio. Oh gosh. Side note, like in 1996, I went to San Antonio to see my sister graduate from Air Force, like the Air Force basic training in San Antonio, and the boutique was open, and I didn't go, and it makes me so mad. And that was it. And I've been to San Antonio a few times after that when I was a flight attendant back in the day. Never went. I have no idea why. I'm dumb. I know. And then I went to the museum, but it was after the
It was
boutiques were in
after.
existence. So to answer your question, no, but I've missed many opportunities.
But you could have. It's basically saying
I
like,
could
no,
have.
but I could have. So
Anyway,
it
yeah.
was really cool. I mean, both of them were really cool. By the time that I had gone to the San Antonio boutique, it seemed like they were kind of it was slowly going downhill as far as there was very little merchandise in there. There were lots of fans that were going, but there was very little merchandise. But the
Yeah.
Corpus Christi boutique was sort of, you could tell that was there were tons of people there. There were et cetera, et cetera. And like a lot of the attention was focusing now to Corpus with the statue and her gravesite there, and then
Yeah.
the newly installed museum. When I went, I think 5 years after she passed away the first time.
Okay.
So the museum was still fairly new.
Yeah.
And stuff. But it was cool. Like it was a cool little place. Like it was a cool little like hangout.
Yeah.
And there were tons of cool Selena articles that I've never seen since. There was this one huge article where there was this one big article about like how she was part Cherokee. Like they had an interview with Selena about being part Cherokee,
Mhm.
and then years later they like somebody said that, and Mr. Quintanilla was like, she was not part Cherokee. It's like, this is wrong. It's like, well, Selena said it
Literally
herself. Like
said
it was, she
Maybe
said it
she was
herself.
wrong, but
Yeah,
yeah,
she could have
give
been
the wrong
wrong. Yeah,
information.
but she did say it.
Yeah.
So it was just a super cool place, and I love sort of seeing that it was just this sort of rundown place and stuff like that. I hope that was all accurate, because I love seeing that. I really like that.
Yeah, I liked having her like look at it and have to plan like plumbing and get contractors in. It wasn't just like, I want a boutique and then like, oh, we got a boutique. I liked seeing like having to work for it and plan like, all right, now I'm going to need employees. I mean, that'll be later on, but having to get employees and all of that stuff. I found it really interesting in just having to consult with, Chris and her dad. And yeah, it was really, I love seeing like that background of her life. And yeah, so, and the fact that, everybody, I think in real life, Chris, I should have read the book again once again, but I'm pretty sure he was pretty supportive of it. But even in the series, like I know a lot of people are complaining like, oh, they're showing Chris as not a supportive husband. And it's like, well, if my husband wanted to open a business, like I'd be asking questions too. It's like, oh, you sure you want to do this? Like, you got to remember this, this, and this. Just because, even Suzette said this in the series, just because somebody isn't, I don't want to say I'm bored, but it's questioning you about it doesn't mean like they don't support you. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I really liked that they're showing like, yeah, we like your idea. They're not shooting her down, but it's like, okay, Selena, you got to think about, this, and this, and that you're touring and that you got to do this and that. And I really liked that, it showed her she had to think about all these things.
I agree. And to me, it's a little bit of this is what I think is that, if you were to ask my husband if he's supportive, he would be like, oh, of course I was. Like, I was really supportive, I was just sick. By the way, we were supposed to film this on Sunday, and I got really sick. I got really, really sick.
Oh, no.
And so that's why we didn't do this. And so if you were to ask my husband, like, oh, were you supporting him while he was sick? He'd be like, yes, of course I was. I did all these things and stuff. If you were to ask me, he'd be like, he didn't bring me that chocolate thing that I wanted.
Yeah.
And so, it's that's just what is normal. Of course, Chris is gonna talk about and remember, like, yeah, I was pretty supportive. I was, blah blah blah. But I don't. What I feel is like, well, I don't think he knew how to do like hair and nail and boutique, so a boutique salon. Like, I don't think he was like, let's draw the plans. I'll call the contractor. You do this. Like, he was a musician. He was a 22-year-old musician, 23-year-old musician. Like, he wasn't a contractor. He wasn't a business person. I mean, to this day, he's still not, I mean, he's an award-winning, a Grammy award-winning musician, and he still hasn't gotten his second CD out. Like 20 years later, like to me, it's like, he's got his own way of doing things. And Selena was like, I'm going out like a train. So I'm pretty sure that things must have been for him like,
very
whoa,
productive.
like what, like I'm not used to this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And I
yeah.
thought it was funny, not funny, but I was like, I like how like they call and he's all like, "Oh, you're buying a house?" She's like, "Oh no, I'm just buying a boutique." And it's like, why would you not tell your spouse like, "Hey, I'm about to buy a building"? Like, and I noticed like in the earlier episodes how Abraham kind of sprung on them like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I bought 3 houses." And I'm like, "What's up with this family just making major purchases without telling their spouses?"
So yeah, I think Selena was impulsive, and she was, she talked about how she loved business, and Chris
Mhm.
didn't seem like that was a big thing for him,
Yeah.
still to this day, it took him this long to come up with the book.
Yeah.
He wasn't really involved with the movie. If any of
Yeah.
the stuff was left completely up to him, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have seen the movie, we wouldn't have seen the various releases, we wouldn't have
Exactly.
seen
Yeah,
any of these
yeah.
things, because I don't
He's
think
not a
he has
business
a
guy.
he doesn't seem like a business kind of guy. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's fine.
sure he was 100% supportive, but it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that he was like out there building the boutiques for him. Um,
Yeah.
but but um, but I think that I'm sure to Selena, what she saw was like wall after wall after wall that she had to climb.
Yep.
And I'm glad we got to see that as much as Chris, I think, was the most supportive and did support her and wanted to support her as much as he knew how. Again, what could he possibly have known at, when he had been touring for the last how many years,
Yeah.
as a musician, as like, what do you know about any of that stuff? So I think
Mhm.
they did a good job. I didn't see him as being detached. I didn't
No,
see him
not at
as
all.
being, not supportive. I think people who think that are like reading too much into it.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
that's what you do in marriage. Like you're gonna ask him, like, "Oh, do you think this is a good
Question. Yeah.
idea?" Like it's just like that's not being yeah. So I really liked that aspect of it, and that your dad's like, you got to think about like who's gonna run it, who's gonna do this, who's gonna do that, and it was just like, yeah, I really like it's such a dad thing to do too, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
So I love that bit, and then
Um,
oh sorry,
before
go
you
on.
because I think this is important. So I was watching an interview with him recently, and he says, my biggest regret is not helping Selena more for her business.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me, it start opening the doors to saying, if I'm not going to get this support from, if my dad is not going to give me the business support that I need, and Chris can't really, I mean, he's not really going to help me pick out like the colors for my, for like,
Yeah,
that's just not the support that Chris could provide. He did help, for example, he talks about it in his book. He helped build like the little glass wall. Like he
I
built
remember
that, and
that.
those are the
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Like that's the kind of stuff, and that he could provide. But that's how Yolanda gets in. There's this little hole that is left for Yolanda to
mm-hmm.
sneak in through, right?
Yep,
So I
yep,
think that's really important,
yep,
and
yep,
it sort of sets up that scene.
yep. So I think that's what made it like my second favorite episode. And I'll talk about my favorite episode when we get to it. But yeah,
Okay.
and I also like how once again you brought the details thing and like on the like a episode or two ago. There's
Yes.
this part where Suzette was sitting down with her and sitting down with Selena and they're in the Q Pro office and Suzette's like, "Oh, you sure you want to do this?" And like in the background you can see all this cool like old Q Productions kind of merchandise, like the fan club brochures, like that's what they looked like, and they had like little. If you could really look hard, like in the cases, there's like old promo shots that they did, and like I don't know, I just saw in the background. If you look in that
Yeah.
episode behind Suzette and around her, they did their homework once again on that, catching those little things.
Oh, 100% agree. And for me, the details was about the house. So we get to see the
Oh
house
yeah, the house
that they
too.
live in.
Sorry, derp. I forgot about
I
that. Yeah,
mean, I
that was
love
a
that.
major thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
Fabergé
greenhouses,
egg collection, the
couches.
couches,
Yep.
the tables,
Yep.
I mean, not everything is exactly the same, but you
Yeah.
certainly get the sense like we're getting to look into their houses, like their houses.
Yeah.
As
Yep. And the
it's a
dogs.
pretty good yeah, the dogs, the fact that they got the
Yeah.
right breeds,
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
those kind of things. Yeah, the fish tank. I don't know if we see the fish tank at this point yet. I don't think we see it yet,
I
but
think we
yes,
do for a second at the end. I think Chris is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we do
yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah, we do. So I really liked they did a lot of details on that, and with like when they're talking to Suzette at Q Productions, and even like Q Productions, if you guys have been to the museum,
Yeah.
like the color, like the I don't know what you'd call that, like a maroonish kind of pinkish color, like that's what the color of the studio is. So yeah, and it looks just like how they have it. So they did a good
It
job on
does.
that too.
What we can't forget is that the movie shot in the actual sites. They
Yeah,
shot at
yeah.
the productions. They shot at Selena's house. They
Hmm.
shot at the Quintanilla's house.
Oh yeah,
This series
yep,
recreated everything. They did not shoot
yep.
in Texas. They shot everything in a studio. So everything that
Hmm.
we see is recreated. None of it is the original stuff.
Hmm. That's true. They did a really good job on that set. Like I didn't even even like the houses and stuff. I'm like, man, how did they do that? Like it looks so good. Like even how the road turns in and stuff like
Yeah,
that. They did such a
yeah,
good job.
yeah.
But
Um,
go
the
on.
live
Sorry.
concert. The live concert. Um, what
I think I know where we're
happened?
going. I don't know.
What
I don't
happened to
understand.
the live
I
concert?
don't know. They had that. Like, I don't even understand why they used that outfit. Well, a couple things. One, why did they use that outfit when they clearly had the live outfit? Because you see her wear it later on. And then the fact that she was singing that song, I'll just call it the phone call again in English. And she didn't sing that live. It's just like a song on the album.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah. And the fact that I missed their name, but they just said that's such an iconic concert and they showed like 4 seconds and
Oscar.
she's not even in the outfit, nor is she singing one of the songs. So I wonder if they
Well, it's
meant
a
that for
it's
something else and just used that
it's
instead. I don't know.
it's they reused the scene. So we saw that scene earlier. Um, and I don't
Oh,
think
that
she's
what it
singing
is.
that song. So I think it's something related to COVID because
Yeah, that's what I was
this
gonna
is
say. Yeah.
it's such a glaring like oversight, and it's such, I mean, and they had the outfit and everything. So I
Yeah.
kind of have a feeling that something, because they did lose time filming. um,
Yep.
so it's very possible that they kind of said, listen, we're just going to have to scrap this, we're going to have to make this work somehow, let's
Yeah.
just put this in, and we're just going to have to call it a day, because there's
Yeah.
there's nothing we can do. I mean, I have a feeling that it had something to do with that,
It
because
was.
it's just so glaring. And if you look closely, her lips actually don't match that song. I think
Oh,
she's
I didn't
actually
look
singing
close
something
enough.
completely different.
It's
Yeah,
kind of like a blurry, kind of weird shot
yeah,
too, so it's hard to
yeah.
tell.
They try
Yeah.
not to get her face as much as possible. um,
Yeah. I'm sure it was
but
COVID. Yeah.
yeah.
With that
um,
one.
yeah, so I'm pretty sure, but because they wouldn't have missed something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but also we can see. Oh yeah, they did a really good job with the recording. They had Brian Redmore out in the side,
Yeah,
recording. I was like, oh, it's a
for a
nice little
second.
touch. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like,
Actually looks just like him. It's not
it
him.
does.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
but they
not
did a
right,
really good job. It's definitely not him.
because he would be really
I
old by
really
now,
like that
right?
as well.
So
Yeah, he still works there though. So yeah,
yeah,
he's
yeah,
gray
he
now though.
does. Yeah,
He's not red anymore. Yeah.
he's
So
not red anymore.
um, nope. So I really liked that they added him just for a split second. He was in the movie too for like a second too. So
Yeah, yeah.
with that.
I like, similar to that is, I like that they added Nancy Brennan. So I had read several interviews of her before Selena passed away. Not, I mean, I read them after she passed away, but it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
her
yeah.
talking about Selena,
Taken.
in talking about like how she was so excited for her. She said, I've never worked I've never introduced an artist that is this well contained. She talked about saying like she has her own trailer truck. She has her own sponsorship. She's like, usually
Ready
I
to
work with
go.
artists who are starting from nothing. So the
Yeah.
fact that she's such a well-contained artist, like, I'm so impressed.
Hmm.
Um, and I actually just saw an interview with her not that long ago. Oh, VH1, not VH1, True Hollywood Story. They did
Yeah,
a,
yeah.
a new version of it, and they have
Yeah.
an
Like
interview with her. Um,
yeah, yeah.
and and I really enjoyed, kind of hearing her side.
Hmm. Yeah, that was good. And the fact that they called it SBK Records and not like EMI or whatever. Because like was SBK like it was still EMI, wasn't it? Or was it like
Yeah,
an offshoot of it? Yeah.
it was
Because
the
a lot of
opposite,
people
I
always
think,
just
or something like that. Like SBK was the international brand. Like it was like an internet. Like EMI was like United States, and SBK was like the worldwide.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I always wonder
something
what the
like that.
difference was because I knew she was with EMI, but yet they always mentioned SBK Records. And
Yeah.
anyway, in general, I was always confused with that. But I guess it's just the
Mhm.
umbrella company.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. Um, and what other thing did I like about this was sorry, 1 second.
I have a
Oh,
dislike.
Oh, wait. Go with your dislike.
No.
I'm trying to read my
Okay.
writing.
I'm gonna go with my dislike. Okay. At this point, I'm over AB constantly searching for the next song and how
Mm-hmm.
he's always out of time. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, okay, AB, yes, yes, we get it. There's not enough time for
Mm-hmm.
um for another album, for another song or whatever. And
Yep.
it's sort of like, it's like, how are you always searching for the next song? And how are you always wrong about the timeline? Like, how is
Yeah,
it
yeah,
that they're
yeah,
always
yeah.
fighting? It's like, I need it by next week, son. It's like, next week, Dad. But you don't understand. It's like, "Oh, listen, you
Yep.
son. Like, blah, blah, blah." It's like, okay, didn't we see this like 15 times already? I get it.
It's
I
like
get it.
every other episode. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
always like, we need it now. It has to be good. And it has to be this and that, and that's always with it. That's right. Chill, AB. Yeah. That's why I said once again, he's feeling pressured. I don't know if they mention it again. Oh, yeah. I think they do mention it later on. Do they? Yeah. We won't get ahead of ourselves. But yeah,
Yeah.
that seems to be a reoccurring theme of this of this whole
Yeah.
series, but it never really gets resolved. But yeah, and I also that's what I was gonna say. It kind of shows something I noticed too is that they show like Suzette taking like an office position at Q Productions, and she still does that. She's still head of, I think she's CEO now actually. Last I knew, but even back then that she was like working at the office at Q Productions, and she's talking about how overworked she was and how she's doing all this work, touring, and all this other thing, and it made me realize or made me think that like what was up with like this family like were the kids in like once again, this is based just on the show, not on their family, because I don't know. But like with them, like reluctant to ask for help or hire people. Like, why were they all
Mhm.
doing like 6 jobs? Like, Suzette was like running this and running Q Productions, doing all that stuff and doing the drumming. Like, why didn't they just hire people to help? Obviously, that was in their, I think it was in their budget. I don't know. She was just talking about being overworked as well. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just something I
I
noticed.
but it definitely set the scene, right? Like that everybody was busy and couldn't help Selena with
Yeah,
anything.
that's
Like
true. Yeah.
that's how you really start getting to see that that she's not really as that she's not really as protected as they think that she is. Like they're all so busy in their own work
Yeah.
within the company.
They have their own stuff
And
to do.
the other part that I sort of, to me, that shows is like Selena was kind of like another employee of this machine, right? Like
Yeah.
she wasn't really the star, like the way that you might think a star is protected. Like she had a job, Suzette had a job, AB had a job, the dad had a job, even Chris kind of
Yeah.
had a job, and they all kind of
Yep.
had jobs within
Yep.
this machine. Um, but we not, but she doesn't seem like the world revolves around her.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But I just like how that was like one of my favorite parts of that episode. Actually, is just seeing like
Yeah.
her trying to talk her out of it, and that's when we find out she was engaged as well. Which I don't understand. Why didn't she tell her right away? Why did she wait until that moment? I don't know. Whatever.
Hmm.
So,
Well, can
and
I
then
ask you something? Let,
okay,
let me
go
ask you
ahead.
something. Um,
Yep.
so, because you said it too, can you say boutique?
Boutique.
Yeah. So
Boutique.
boutique.
Boutique. I say
Yeah. Well,
sometimes.
yeah. Sometimes you
Boutique.
say boutique.
Yeah, I kind of
So
switch it.
Says boutique
Yep.
in the series exclusively boutique, and it bothered me so much. He's like, is that how Selena said it? Like, why does she say it? Like, is that how
I
people say
think
it?
she
Like, I
says
always
boo,
thought
doesn't she?
she says boutique.
Yeah, yeah. But
Boutique, is that like a?
does Selena say boutique?
I don't
Does
know. Like
Selena?
that's what I was gonna
Now
ask
I need
you.
to go. Yeah, I don't. I'm just trying to
But
think of
Christian
like at the
says,
top of my head of any interviews with her, and I'm like, I don't know how she says it. I always say, I
yeah,
say, I kind of switch it back and forth, but yeah, usually boutique though.
yeah, boutique. She says boutique.
I
So
didn't know that was
if anything,
incorrect.
I don't know if it is.
Maybe it's
It
not.
just I don't know but she just always says boutique, and I always feel
Oh.
like I always feel like, why does she say? Is she mimicking Selena? Did Selena say boutique? Is that why?
Quick,
But
someone go on YouTube and let us know because I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah. Let
That's a
us
good
know.
thing.
Boutique.
And
Okay.
then, oh, sorry, no, it's
No, go
okay.
ahead.
And like the biggest thing that happens on this episode is probably the reintroduction of Yolanda, of course, and that creepy scene of all the stuff in her room. So, I was dark. It's like the show went from like that to like really dark real fast, and I'm like, oh geez, but that's how she was.
Yeah,
So,
and there were a lot of questions I saw online as to whether she did have her room like that, whether she was if whether she was like that obsessed and all of those things.
yeah,
And it's hard to tell, but apparently she did have a roommate that had reported that she was creeped out by how many Selena portraits, how many Selena pictures she had. There was that,
yeah,
you know from Martin Gomez, the designer, who had said that he had sent somebody
yeah,
to go deliver or get something from her, that she had like a shrine to Selena.
yeah,
And then I thought somebody said, I don't think I've ever read this, but in the trial transcripts, because I read the trial transcripts as well.
yeah.
I don't think but somebody says that the police observed that she had like this shrine to Selena. And I don't think I've personally read that, but I've heard other people mention it.
I've read it, yeah, but I don't remember. It's been a few years since I've read it. It's online somewhere. I think it's like
Yeah.
Selena Forever website or something has it up. But
Okay.
yeah, but shrine to them. What if that just means a whole bunch of posters and like like a collection? Like, does
That's
it
like
mean like
many
she
of us.
lit things? I know. I was gonna say. I was like, oh, okay. I don't have candles, but they had her like lighting candles, like a literal
Yeah.
shrine. But
Yeah.
I don't know. No one's really mentioned that. But I imagine she probably had like posters and whatnot, or like magazine cutouts. But still, it gave you a bit of a creepy vibe on that. And I love how they kind of, I don't know, it's always funny how they always make Yolanda. Well, this kind of show episode they didn't, or sorry, in the series they didn't, but like on a lot of Selena specials and in the movie, they always portray Yolanda as like a 50 or 60-year-old woman. And really, she was like 30 or
Yeah.
31. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
but she was still kind of
Yeah.
frumpy. But this one, she kind of made her a bit younger looking, but kind of, frumpy. But they did, get an actress who was a bit, her age, I guess you would
Yeah.
say. But, and I like that bit to it. And they do make her out to be a little bit, I'll just say a little bit crazy for lack of a better word. But yeah, it took a dark turn real quick. Yeah, she
It
was
did.
really good.
Yeah, the actress, I agree. The actress was very good. And I think that they did a good, Yolanda was very mousy, right? Like she's very like, hi,
Talks really high. Yeah.
hi, kind of doesn't
Yep.
open her mouth very much. Kind of seems. And Chris and AB in interviews talk about it, like, we didn't think that she was capable of something like this. Like,
Yep.
we just didn't see that this is what this woman was capable of. And I
Yep.
think they did a good job of sort of portraying her. I mean, we know what's coming, but if
Yeah.
you take out the scary parts of Yolanda, like the actress does a very good job in sort of just seeming this kind of mousy, nice, like, I'm just so here to help. I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just here watching and helping.
Yeah.
I thought all of the acting was very good. You
Yeah.
know, some of the writing can go, a little on the schmaltzy side, but I think that the
Yeah.
actors that, really chewed the scenery with it, really did a good job with trying to bring to life these characters.
Yeah. I really liked what they did with Yolanda, because I was wondering who's gonna play her, and I heard about this, and they did a good job. Like, I can't even tell when you see how she looks like in real life. You're like, dang, they did a really good job on frumpifying her, whatever you want to call it. But yeah.
And in speaking of good actresses, I really would have enjoyed seeing more Sadie Lopez as Marcella. She has such a nice, warm quality. So I got to meet Marcella, and Sadie just has this
Aw.
really similar quality.
Yeah.
Marcella was just it's kind of slower and gentler and has these kind eyes,
Yeah.
and Sadie really has that. And we see several scenes throughout the series, including in this episode 3, between Sadie and Suzette. But I would
Mhm.
like to have seen more of those with Selena, um, because I think that just would have been great. But as even Selena's mom said, that she was a daddy's girl, and I think that that's the other part.
Yep.
This is that episode where like AB's like, Dad said that only Selena's voice counts, and
Yeah.
I'm the one that writes the songs, and blah blah blah. And I'm thinking like, yeah, Selena's voice was kind of better than the songs. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, the songs are good,
All
but
right.
listen, Selena could have sang the phone book, and
Yep.
But
Yep.
anyway, no, AB, you get your credit. Musical genius, all of that stuff. Whatnot. But but Selena did love her dad. I mean, she mentioned
Hmm.
that many times, and it was this episode where like you see how indulgent the entire family is of the dad. Like they thank the dad. There's in the earlier episodes where they're like
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Selena, and then she's like into Los
To
Dinos,
the
into
into my
Abraham,
dad.
Abraham,
Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
they're like
yeah.
yeah, Abraham, and it's
You're
like,
the
but I think
tree or whatever.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think that's really how they did treat him. I mean, I
Yeah.
do think whether it's truthful or deserved or whatnot, that's up to you to decide. But I really do think that's how the family treated him, and that's how Selena treated him. Chris talks about it in her book where there was this time when he got into a fight with him, and he didn't think Chris didn't think he had done anything wrong, but Selena made him apologize, and Selena
Hmm.
wouldn't talk to Chris until he apologized. Like he was like, "Don't talk like that to my dad." And
Hmm.
so whatever we think that's happened in that family, Selena loved her dad. She really loved her dad,
Yeah,
and so that's that's present, and we see it time and time again. And she really, what he said really mattered to her.
yeah, yeah. And even to the day, you still see I'm sorry, AB and Suzette talked about him in that way. So yeah,
Yeah. All right. Anything else you got for
I'm
us?
checking. Da-da-da-da. So sorry, just going over my notes that I can barely read. All right, one
Yeah. Let
second.
me
I
see.
like
I
jot them
write
as
them
I
on my
write it.
computer now.
I really should
um,
start because I'm just like because I jot them as I watch it, and I sometimes don't even understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think that's it, at least
yeah.
for what I can read.
Yeah. From what I can read on mine is also, and just that soundtrack is great. I really really love that soundtrack. So I mean, every episode there are so many songs that it's like, oh, I want to, they really leaned in, and this is in this episode is when they start about Selena being a bad driver. Like they kind of make jokes
Yeah,
about it and stuff like that. But this is the first time that we see like about Selena like being like, Chris is like, oh, I lived once already, so I guess I can get in the car with you. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I guess I
yeah.
had heard about it, but like they really lean into this that Selena was a
And
was
they do
like a
it later
fast
too.
driver. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So
We'll see more later.
yeah. Oh, and I know what else is like that. I think what was really interesting was that how uh, Selena was really into animals. Because
Yeah.
I don't think that they had animals. I don't think they had pets. I've never heard of pets before in there. So the fact that she wanted to get pets and she wanted to get them right away, and she got two and then five
Yeah, yeah.
later on, I think that's cool. That shows a lot of what her heart came from and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I remember the book in Chris's book, him talking about her always just bringing home animals and stuff. And once again, I'm like, I can't imagine doing that with like my house, just bringing things over without asking. It's like it's a big
especially when they're on
responsibility.
tour and when they're on
Yeah,
tour. So
yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure that's why Marcella couldn't go on tour with them anymore because she probably had to take care of Selena's pet
Her
next
farm
door.
that she was building.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I
Okay.
would like to thank Mallory again. Please visit her blog, bittybittyblogbblog.com. She writes some great stuff in there. All stuff, that is very similar to what I talk about in this
Yeah.
channel. We don't we don't disagree very much.
Nah.
um, Thank you so much for all of you who
Sure.
watched, especially those who stayed the entire time.
Oh
Really
wow.
appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Thank you uh, all.
Your name
Um,
just makes me laugh. The
yes.
official walrus
Well,
pitch. Sorry.
we're. I'll call you OWB, the OWB. Very
It's the
much
best YouTube name.
appreciate. Yeah, I agree. I need to come up with a good YouTube name.
Mine's
Thank
like
you so much. We're
Mallory.
gonna do this
All
for
right.
the
Anyway.
for the rest of the. We're gonna do yeah. We're gonna do the rest of the series at a later date. Thank you for staying with us. We really appreciate you. Tell your friends, subscribe, like whatever it is that all the other people say. Thanks for everybody who has been watching. Ricky, Bobby, Chris, and Oscar, Julian. Everybody else. Thank you so much, and we will see you later. Thank you, Mallory.
You're welcome. Thank you.